Younes, thank you so much for joining me here on the Erin Molan Show. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I went on your Instagram page and I saw you interviewed Eric Trump and
Yes,
some other prominent figures. It's very funny because Donald Trump is coming to the UK today, or he was in the UK yesterday.
I
He's going to have his whole
saw.
ceremony today in Windsor Castle. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. It's exciting times in the UK at the moment. And the reason I wanted to get you on initially, mind you, I want to talk to you about Iran as well, because things are starting to heat up there a little bit. But to the UK first,
Mhm.
freedom of speech and this rally that Tommy Robinson organised and held. Of course, the mainstream media said, 10 people, it was millions. Is there significant evidence that a shift is occurring? Are the people of the UK actually starting to say we've had enough?
Yeah, first of all, BBC is fake news, and so is Sky News, because I was there personally. And I go to a lot of demonstrations, and there was easily 1 million people there. Like, that was the biggest demonstration I've ever seen, and I've actually been to a few of them. In terms of people waking up, I think, yeah, people have always been woken up, but I think the silent majority now has the courage to speak,
Yeah.
whereas before the silent majority didn't have the courage to speak. And I think people like myself, people like Tommy, people like you, or just people in the media in general, the independent media, has given people the courage because people
Yeah.
don't think they're insane anymore. They don't think they're racist anymore for thinking these things.
It's such a good point you make. And when I
Yeah,
say people waking up, you're so right in that for the vast majority of them, they are completely aware. They're gaslit. People try and gaslit them, but they are completely aware of what is at risk and what is occurring. But it's that
exactly.
fear of being labeled racist, a bigot, Islamophobic, the entire thing. Do you think that the vileness of those slurs is wearing off? People aren't afraid anymore of being called that because they see it for what it is, a weaponization.
Exactly. And it doesn't work anymore because it's been overused, you know? When you overuse a word like racist or sexist or xenophobic or Islamophobic, you actually look, because there are some racist people in society, okay?
Of
We cannot
course.
deny that. There's like maybe 10%, maximum 20%. However, just to, paint everyone with that broad brush of saying, oh, everyone that's in the rally is a racist, or that everyone that disagrees with the mainstream narrative is a far-right thug. You're basically gaslighting people and you're lying to people. And Sadiq Khan, which is probably the worst mayor that we've ever had
Mm.
in this country, the day after the protests or the demonstration, I should say, he like releases a letter saying, "Oh, we don't stand by those that seek to divide us." And I was thinking, it's you that's seeking to
You,
divide us, not
you're
Tommy
the chief
Robinson. Yes,
divider.
it's you.
The
It's
chief.
exactly. He's projecting. It's projection at its finest. Because Sadiq Khan has been the terrible mayor, and every time people criticize him, he hides behind the Islamophobia excuse. The same with Keir Starmer, and I think
Mm.
Keir Starmer is an absolute stooge. I don't think he has any charisma. He's just a yes man. He's a World Economic Forum puppet. And
In
he came
Australia,
and
we
echoed
would
that
say,
sentiment.
weak as piss is how we would describe someone like Keir Starmer.
Exactly.
He
Yeah,
is
it's embarrassing.
someone
It's
that
actually
that
embarrassing.
joins the likes of Carney in Canada, of Macron, that seem to just go
Yeah,
weak at the knees when it comes to these, the Islamic regime in Iran, terrorist regimes, people who wish us harm.
yeah.
Why are they so weak in the face of what is so clear to you and I are the enemy?
They say weak men create hard times create strong men create good times, and good times create weak men. And we are going through that weak
Brilliant.
men phase with Macron, with Keir Starmer. Hopefully, Trump is back in office because if it was Kamala Harris or if Biden, it would have been a disaster. But
Yeah.
look, the thing is, I think there's a mainstream narrative here and there's a globalist narrative here. And these politicians like Macron, like Keir Starmer, they don't believe any of the things that they say. They just kind of jump on the bandwagon of what their overlords or what their donors tell them to do. And they come and echo those sentiments back. But their power and the mainstream narrative, the mainstream media's power, because of people like you, the independent media, has exposed them. So they are on a, sort of a downward trajectory because people are wise to them now. People see through their lives, especially after what happened with COVID and Trump, and how the media just lied over and over and over again. People are just wise to that now. So I think it's much harder for people to be brainwashed. And I think that era of Macrons, of Starmers, of the weak sort of pantomime politician is over.
I really hope so. I love what you just said there, and you talk that I'm going to write that down when we finish this. Your cycle, it is so brilliant. What I want to say is
Yeah.
Milei famously said, the Argentinian leader, and this is a translation, but something to the effect of, when you finish in public life in politics, most people will hate you anyway, so you might as well do what is right. And I was watching a clip from a podcast you have done recently where you said something very similar in regards to, if your number one desire in life is to be liked, then A, what a weak, awful existence that must be, and B, you will never do anything significant. You will never have purpose or contribute in any way. Your story is fascinating. You were born as a Muslim and raised as a Muslim. Tell me your story and why you decided that it wasn't for you.
Well, I was born in Iran, so automatically you are born into a Muslim family. I wouldn't say my parents were very strict. They were
Yeah.
open-minded people, but they would call themselves a Muslim. And, they kind of prayed, like my grandparents were very devout Muslims. My parents weren't so much. So when I moved to this country when I was 13 years old, I saw sort of the disparities between Islam and Christianity. And I really started to question Islam and Christianity and all the religions. So I started like doing some deep research into religion. And I realized that, in my opinion, all religions are man-made. I believe in God. I think God is an energy and a frequency and a vibration. God is real. You're a drop in the ocean. You're not ocean in a drop, because I think God, we are a part of God. God is not something external. But that to one side. When I've done the deep research into Islam, I realized that it's an extremely barbaric religion, and it needs to go through its own age of Renaissance and its own age of enlightenment. Because look, every religion, including Judaism and including Christianity, have done a lot of wrong in history. And if you don't
Yeah.
believe me, go and read about what happened in the Dark Ages with Christianity, and also what happened, before Christianity came in Judaism. So, but Islam, because it's the newest out of the three, it still hasn't gone through its own age of enlightenment and its own age of Renaissance. And it's going through it now, actually. And it can only go through it when people start questioning it and when people start criticizing it. The problem with Islam is that Islam is an extremely militant religion. There's a lot of calls to actions in Islam. And, your punishment in Islam is death if you question Islam or Muhammad, or if you decide to leave. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. And I always thought this. I speak about everything. Look, I speak about politics, all kinds of different issues. And one thing I noticed is that no one has the courage to criticize Islam. And I thought, why is that? And I thought, well, if you criticize it, look at what happened to Charlie Hebdo. Look at what happened to
Yeah.
Salman Rushdie. Look at what happens to all the people in Islamic countries that criticize Islam. They're dead. So that's why they use fear as a mechanism to stop freedom of speech in Islam. And I always say this, like, people that try to stop you from questioning them, they're the ones lying.
Absolutely. That's it. If you believe genuinely in what you stand for, then being challenged or being questioned should not scare you. Should not at all. It's so interesting because I look
Exactly.
at.
You're welcome, it's
I was
actually.
Yes, I was born and raised Catholic, and there was a period in my life when I moved away from the Catholic Church. I have a little brother who's gay, and the way that the Catholic Church had treated people like him made me very uncomfortable. And I spoke publicly at the time and said, I was meant to get married in a Catholic church, but I decided not to. And that was just, I was critical of the way I thought the church could be a force for good here, for really good people who believe in God, but instead they went the other way. Not one person ever said or would have even thought that I was Catholophobic or I would, it doesn't exist in any other space. People would have said, oh, she's got an issue that she feels strongly about, so she's criticizing an element of a religion. But you're right, with Islam, it's just, it's almost saying the word makes people nervous. It used to make me, I grew up in a Muslim country in Indonesia, the world's largest Islamic population. I speak the language fluently. I was raised in part by devout Muslim women who were part of our housekeepers and our nannies at home who were just beautiful. And I was back in Jakarta last year, end of last year, visiting them. I have so much love for the vast majority of peaceful Muslims, but Islamic extremism is a serious issue. But I wouldn't have said that a year ago, 2 years ago. I would have been too afraid that I would have been labelled.
Yeah, but also, you know what the problem is? Because I speak about Islam extensively, and people speak to me about Islam extensively, and they ask me a lot of questions. So, someone that doesn't quite know me and might go on my page, and they might think like I'm Islamophobic and I'm anti-Islam, and they always turn out around and say to me, "Look, 95% of Muslims are peaceful people. Like, how could you say that about Islam?" And I'm like, "Yes, look, 95% of Muslims are peaceful because they don't follow the scripture.
That's
They
exactly
pick and
right.
choose. They cherry pick. You know who follows Islam to the core? ISIS, Al
Yeah.
Qaeda, Taliban. Those are the people. And go and, if you don't believe me, go and read the Quran, go and look at the life of Muhammad, and go and read the Hadiths in your own language, not in Arabic, so you understand clearly what it says. So, and also another problem I have with the Muslim population, because of that fear that's instilled in you as a child, not to ever question Islam.
Yeah.
The moderate Muslims, they might be peaceful people, but for whatever reason, they are like the grass that's snake hiding the snake. So they become a
Yes.
camouflage for the extremists within them. And I think more and more and more Muslims need to come out and call out extremism, both in their own religions and both in their own communities.
I did a piece exactly on that maybe 3 months ago when I called on good
Right.
Muslims around the world. Their silence, they are complicit in this by being silent. And I understand the fear that surrounds it. I understand all of that. But if more moderate Muslims would speak up against the extremism, because, I had high level meetings in Jakarta, Indonesia, with people in very prominent positions who would
Mhm.
say to me privately, "We hate Islamic extremism more than you do. It hurts our people more than it hurts anyone else." And I say to them, say it publicly. That shouldn't be controversial. And they won't. And it would be so beneficial and so powerful if they came out against what is clearly an evil.
Exactly. And look, majority of the people in this world, for whatever reason, as you were was talking about earlier, they just kind of want to blend in. They
Yeah.
don't really question things. They just, see what is the most popular opinion and jump on that bandwagon. Whereas the people that truly prosper and the people that truly change the world are the ones that question everything, and they are not sort of afraid to put their head above the parapet. So, unfortunately, in the Islamic community, because of the fear that's instilled in you, no one dares to put their head above the parapet. And I think that's wrong, and I think that should change. And what I do with my page is try to inspire people to do the same.
Yeah. So you do that. Are you scared? I mean, what do you feel like price, what kind of price are you willing to pay for what you clearly believe very strongly in?
Well, look, no, I love what I do. Okay. And, when I started, and I speak about everything, I don't just speak about Islam. But a lot of people, especially within my family and my close friends, were worried for me. And they were like, "Look, Younes, like, is this really worth it? Or are you going to really put your life at risk?" Because, look, I got death threats on
Mm.
social media, and I do get it still to this day after like 2 years. But I'm not scared at all, to be completely honest with you. I'm very aware. I am, I know what's always around me. I'm spatially aware. I do my due diligence, but I'm not scared at all. Like, I truly love what I do. I truly love opening people's minds, not just to do with Islam, but everything. I try to speak the truth as much as I can and do my own research, have critical thinking. And that's what I try to teach people. I'm not saying
Yeah.
come and agree with me 100%, but have
Yes.
critical thinking. Think for yourself. Don't just jump on the bandwagon. Don't just, go with something just because you were taught it as a kid or taught it as a, young adult. And that's the problem we have in society. Thinking is hard. That's
Yeah.
why people judge.
It's
That's why
easier.
people will just follow along. And, Yeah, it's easy. And look, maybe majority of the people out there, they're not very political, or they don't really care. Deep down, they just want to make money and just
Yeah.
have a comfortable, easy life. I'm not like that. I'm not like that at all. I think
See?
one of the duties of you being on this earth is to make an impact. Yeah, you want to live a comfortable life and you want to experience everything and, have a family and all of that, make a lot of money. But the most important thing is, I think, self-actualization. And in my case, I think I'm here to educate people through media.
I feel like I've had this awakening in a way, and what you say is so true. The vast majority of people, and we have this saying, fat, dumb, and happy, just want to live their lives peacefully, whatever is easy and nice, and I get that. The problem we face now in the UK,
Mm.
in Australia, in Europe, is that that way of life is under threat. Even for those who just want to blend in, there will come a time when you can't actually afford to be silent and to not fight for it. And that's the issue. You and
Yeah,
I can see that the risk, it's not a Hamas, Gaza, Israel issue. The ideology is a threat to all of us in
yeah,
every university, in every school, in every movement, everywhere around the world. Free speech is under threat. So your
yes,
ability to live an easy life is under threat. And a lot
yeah.
of people don't see that yet.
No, 100%. I think I've done a quote on Instagram. I was looking for it now, but I've done like 8 quotes that would have been perfect for this podcast. But I think I'm just going to tell you the first one.
Please.
Plato said the price that good men pay for not engaging in
I
politics is
saw
that
this
they'll
on your
end up being
Instagram
ruled by
just
evil men.
before. Say it again
Exactly.
for me. Say it again for me.
Yeah,
I just saw
exactly.
it. Say it
Do you want
again.
me to find it so I can read all 8?
Please.
The price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men.
Yes.
Aristotle, courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees the others.
Yes.
Socrates, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new.
Yes.
Marcus Aurelius, you have the power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Nietzsche, he who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow.
Yes. I love that.
Kierkegaard, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards.
Yes.
Voltaire, it is dangerous to be right when the government is wrong.
Yes.
And
Isn't that the
John
truth?
Stuart Mill, yeah, John Stuart Mill, genuine justice requires liberty of thought, liberty of speech, and liberty of action. So I
Yes,
think
I
I'll leave this to your
love that.
audience.
That is so, so brilliant. Now, before I let you go, I need to ask you about Iran. I've seen reports today regarding
Sure.
people in the streets chanting death to the leader. We know that obviously Israel's strike on
Yeah.
Iran, then with the Americans coming in, they say that the regime is at its weakest position ever, and this is the moment to strike. But I fear that that may not occur. What do
Yeah.
you think? Are we about to see your people take back what is rightfully theirs?
Yes, I really, really hope so. Look, there was a water crisis in Iran. There is a water crisis
Yes.
in Iran. There is a energy crisis in Iran. And it's very unfortunate that one of the richest countries in the world, the
Yeah.
Islamic Republic, is so incompetent, they can't even provide their own civilians with basic necessities. And people just don't have water, don't have power, and don't have electricity, don't have internet. Like, how can you be the fifth richest economy in the
Hmm.
world and not be able to provide your own
Well,
civilians with these basic
I have an
necessities?
idea
That's
as to how that occurs. It's because you spend all your money on terrorism and killing innocent people. That would be maybe my guess as to why their people are suffering.
exactly 100%. That and incompetence. So it's a mixture
Yeah.
of both. They're both incompetent and terrorists at the same time. So, so basically, what I think is that I really hope, because look, I was quite disappointed with people not rising up in Iran
Yeah.
during the 12-day war with Israel. But then again, if the government shoots you if you when you protest, then would you be so brave and go and protest? I don't think so. But then again, I just think Iranians need to rise up. This is the moment. Because look, at what point are you going to rise up? You don't have water. Like, how worse can things get? You don't have water. You don't have electricity. You don't have gas. Like, what are you waiting for? Because at the end root of this is death anyway. You're probably going to die at some point from hunger or from lack of water or from freezing to death because there's no gas. So you might as well come to the streets, be brave. If 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million people all across Iran get out into the streets and protest, and we have, international support and, maybe America helping us with taking out of Khamenei, there's every chance that the regime can be overthrown, and I stand 100% behind the Iranian people. I really hope they do it this time because this is the moment. I thought the moment was when Trump hit the nuclear facilities, but it didn't quite happen then. But I think now people are just sick and tired of it, and maybe this time could be the last.
I hope so. I very much hope so. And I agree. I think the only significant change can come from within, but they need international support. They need the US or someone to be there backing them up and giving them a hand. But yeah, it's
Exactly.
unimaginable.
And one last thing I want to say is that
Please.
you need three different factors. You need uh, internal uprising, international support, but also strong opposition that can form a temporary or a transitional government for 1 or 2 years. And I hope to be part of that transitional team. And then in 1 or 2 years' time, we can, have a referendum on what the people want. I think the people, the outside leaders, the change has to come from within. But the international support, it's not just America and Israel, it's the Iranian diaspora to sort of make a team of people, which Shahzad Reza Pahlavi has done to some extent, but in my opinion, he hasn't pushed it or promoted it far enough. So I hope he's more aggressive this time. And if he's not, I will be for him.
Do you believe he's the right man?
Look, he comes from I love his father and I love his grandfather and I love him. He's a very well-educated man. He's very nice man, but I just think sometimes he lacks the charisma and the boldness to be a leader. And that was kind of reflected on how he acted during the 12-Day War. Like, I watched all his speeches. I just find them not inspiring at all. Like, how can you be in the middle of a war and come and read off a piece of paper? Like, come and show your passion to the people. Come and tell the people, you people of Iran, rise up. Mr. Donald Trump, please finish the job. I have a cabinet in mind. I will take over. Don't worry, there's not going to be the instability in Iran. That kind of things to give the confidence both to the people and to the American and the Israeli and the international sort of community that, Iran will be fine if the regime is overthrown. Because one of the reasons I think that Trump didn't finish the job is because he was afraid of the chaos that could ensue. And the only way to stop that is to have a viable, strong opposition ready to take over as soon as the Islamic Republic falls.
Are you in a position to offer an alternative to him for that role? Is that something you want?
Well, look, I'm only 31 years old, and I'm not going to make a narcissistic comment and say, look, I'm going to be the next king of Iran. However, I know what it takes to be a leader. And there's a book about this, wartime leader and peacetime leader. I think Shahzad Reza Pahlavi is a great peacetime leader. I don't see him as a wartime leader. Because a wartime leader needs to make difficult decisions and needs to take risk. And I think he's quite risk averse. But look, I am willing to help him. I support Shahzad Reza Pahlavi because I know at this moment in time, he's the best option we have. But maybe in the future, if Iran is freed, then I have no doubts that I'll throw my hat in the ring.
That is amazing. Thank you so, so much for your time, for your passion and everything that you fight for.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.